Hey everyone, it is Natalie from Being Intentionally Creative. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on a picture frame. And what's interesting about this video, for me anyways, is the fact that I've mentioned before that I start my videos usually ahead. So even though you see it on a Monday, I've done the work ahead of time. And that sometimes gives me more time in order to get ahead of myself, which I love to do. But what is special is, so the day we are starting to work on this, even though you're going to see this on Monday, is February 25th. And what makes that so special for me is that someone I used to work with was a huge fan of Christmas. And her countdown always started in June. And when I got thinking last night, I thought, oh, this is perfect. We're going to be doing this video starting on February 25th. You get to see it the first Monday in March. And the other thing I really like about this is, and I wasn't thinking about, was the colors I picked out. And her favorite color for Christmas was blue. So it just seems very fitting. And I'm dedicating this to someone who incredibly brilliant and passed away a few years ago. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to dedicate this video to them. So Diane, thank you for showing up when you did last night, and this is for you. What are we going to be doing? I purchased a while ago a couple of frames. Okay, I'm going to put my under here. Okay, so I purchased these frames. Does that make it better? I think that made it worse. I thought it might have made it better. Anyway, they're picture frames. There's two of them. Let me just show you the other one. Here's the other one. It's an oval one. Now, I've noticed you can get these so that they're not these sort of oddball shapes. You can get a truly oval one and you can get a truly square one. Mine have some, I like more this because it's unique than just the traditional. So it came in a set of two. And I thought, let's do these because I want to do something up for my stepdaughter. Shh, don't tell her. And I wanted to do this first. Okay, so, and we're doing this. This is one I did using ceramic resin. Now, as you'll see, there's no picture in this. I was playing for one because I wanted to get an idea of the amount of ceramic resin I would need. I was also, and I will admit it, a little confused on how this all was supposed to work. Once I had this all done, I went back onto Amazon and I had a look at and watched the video and went, so that's how it's supposed to be put together. So I have not done this right. I also did the other shape as well in ceramic resin. All right, so here's the other one. I am going to figure out a way of putting something in here and I don't know what it is, and then I'll probably seal it up. And the other thing I found was, whether it was because of the layering I did with the ceramic resin, neither one of these is flat. They wobble a little bit. I'm not sure what I did wrong. Obviously, I did something wrong. So I'm going to show you the right way to do these. And if you've had one of these and you know exactly the right way to do it, kudos to you for getting it right out of the gate. I didn't. And I'm not ashamed to say that to you. I do make mistakes with things every once in a while, and then I go check things out. So I am going to have to get better at, okay, how is this supposed to work before I start doing silly things. Now, the other reason, so when I initially started, my main goal was to use the ceramic resin and just put it on this piece in here in order to have a template that I could use. When I went to put a picture in, I could get the same shape. Now, I don't know how well that would work, especially if I was dealing with something like this. So we're going to be working a little bit differently. This is a picture I took in 2010. I have that down at the bottom. And I'm going to put this in here. We're going to do the edging in blues. So I have the chrome powder royal blue. Let's turn that over for you. I'm also going to mix in some of this magic resin blue as well, this lighter blue color, because I was going to do my stepdaughter's picture live, and I thought, ooh, I'd have to ask her for permission before I did that. And I thought, no, just find a picture of my own. And I didn't want to give away the surprise. Anyway, so this is a picture we're going to use. I, back in 2010, was doing a lot of backroad trolling, is what I called it, and just getting some really phenomenal pictures. I had just recently moved into the house we're living in now, and going out in the backcountry roads and getting some spectacular pictures, not only of scenery like this, but also of abandoned buildings, which I absolutely love. I love abandoned buildings. I think they are way, way cool. This is a picture we're going to use. I know that some people, they've mentioned that they seal photographs and whatnot by using Mod Podge or something like that. Not a fan of doing that, so we're not going to be doing that. What I have gotten, and I just got today, is these thermal laminating pouches. I do have the Scotch laminator. I'm going to be doing this off camera. We're going to get this, you know, size down to whatever it needs to be in order to get it into the pouch. I need to have it sealed. I just feel better doing that. I think it's a better way of doing it, but that's just me. So if you're into doing it and you just Mod Podge it, then carry on and do what you normally do. I would prefer that because I know it's going to be sealed. Now I will mention to you that I found out, and it's been a while since I've used my laminator, that you can't cut this. So we're going to take this out. I'm going to explain it to you because the paper or the laminating pieces that I'd gotten when I first got it were 8.5 by 11, I believe. And what ended up happening, because Natalie didn't know, was you can't cut it after you've laminated it because then you break the seal. And I was not aware of that. I am going to have to get this to fit within that so that when it gets sealed, that it's going to be and work the way I want it to. Okay, so, and hopefully, I mean, it looks blurry there or foggy. Hopefully when I get this done, it doesn't look like that anymore. And I guess that's a bit of a, you know, an issue that could come about with it. But I'd like to think that one of these sides is clear versus the other side. So here's hoping. I'm trying to figure, I don't know. I'm not going to waste time trying to explain that to you, but yes, my idea is we'll put this inside. I'll cut it down, put it inside, seal it up, and then it will be used in this piece. Okay, so that's something I'm going to do off camera. As I say, the outside here, which is going to be poured first and up to the top of this inner piece, so just up to the top of it. We are going to be using the resin ears because I want to get this done sooner than later. So we'll be using that to cure up here, and then we can put some clear resin in. Not a whole bunch, right? I just want enough to sort of give me, to cover this in here, and then just to have a coat of it. So then we can slide our picture on and get it set up and hopefully stay in place. And I'd like to think, so let's bring that back for a minute. I had ordered some 4x6s. Amazon, sugar plum fairies. Amazon didn't have them, so I have to cut this down. And hopefully it won't be, you know, it may not matter at the end of the day. So it's pretty much the right width. It's just not long enough, and that's going to be okay. I'm not going to concern myself with that because once we have the blue down and set up, and once we have the clear down and the picture down, then what we're going to do is we will again mix these two colors and they'll go over top. So you won't see any clearness, if you will. It won't be clear all the way through. It'll actually, you know, hopefully look okay when it gets done at the end of the day. The other thing that we have to do is we have to do the pedestal, I guess if you want to call it that these are going to hold this in place once it's done, right? So I can display it. I am going to do those in Blackout by Chem Resin's Resin Max. So this, I'm going to use this black. I'm also going to put into it, and I'm going to put the gloves on because I always end up with this dye on my hands, and I prefer not to, is the translucent Ocean Blue by Alumilite. I want to... My parents had stands like these when I was growing up, and normally they were either black or brown, and I thought because our picture is going to have the blue shades, that I wanted to not... I don't want my feet, my stand, whatever you want to call it, to be the blue that's going in here, but I wanted to see if I couldn't have some blue in it, if you get the concept of what I'm going for. So anyways, those are the colors we're going to be using. I have to seal up my picture, get it cut down, seal it up. I have to get my resin mixed up so that we can do in here first. Bring over my resiners. So I'm going to go do all of that, and then we're going to come back and carry on with our project. Welcome back. I have sealed in my picture. I will be getting 4x6 laminate pieces just because it'll allow me to have bigger pitches in, because that's gone down quite a bit. The other thing I will recommend is I put this through twice. Like it said, depending on the thickness, you could put it through twice. But what I found was when I put it through the second time, it's given it a bit of a bow in here. I did put something on top of it, but it did not flatten it out. I would only recommend it going through once. As I said, it was because of the thickness that I thought, well, let's put it through twice and see what happens. And then it's warped it a little bit. I am going to play a little bit, but not obviously with this piece. In my instructions, it had indicated that you could trim these down. Now, I am pretty confident that when I attempted to do that previously, and they said like you could trim it down after you put it through, that it unsealed itself. But I will play with that at a later date, and I will let you know. So here is our piece. It is going to be smaller at the end of the day. I know you can't see that, but it is smaller. But that's okay. We're going to play. We're going to see what we can do with it. And like I say, if I have the 4x6, it'll be better. Now, I'm just going to grab... Just give me a second. I've got to be very careful because of what I've got over on my desk. I think this is supposed to be the top. Guess it doesn't really matter. So a 3x5 would fit this a little bit better. But again, maybe 4x6. But then, as you'll notice, that I'm sort of going over the sides on this. So that's why I got the 3x5, or they're 3 point some odd by 5 point some odd. These. So maybe if I can make sure that if I cut this down, it doesn't open it back up, then that will allow me to trim. But I'd have to be very careful with that. So it's because of this one that I got the smaller. So like I say, I'm going to end up doing some playing off camera at some point. But for today, we're good. I have mixed up my resin like I said I was going to. I've got my resineers here. I was almost going to do it using sort of the other side of this so it wasn't up as high. But because this is flat, I'm actually wanting to sort of see again, and I may not be able to do well because we've got to do multiple layers in this, if I get the waves in it. Because I know I had shown you, well, I did my bestest to show you how I had seen waves in the resin. I want to see if that happens again. And then maybe if it does, then when I do, even if I do flat pieces, I'll flip this over so it's like there's more space between the heater and the actual resin piece. The other thing I wanted to mention, I have only made up the blue to go around here, which we're going to pour in a moment. I will do these two pieces, the feet or the stand part, when I do the final coat on this. We're going to do the blue outer edge, then we're going to do the clear, and then when we do the final coat, we will do the feet, stand, and the rest of this at that time. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. but let's get this blue carefully poured. And as I mentioned, I used the two blues. So I used the royal blue of Let's Resin, and I used the, now give me a second while I wipe that off, and then I'll tell you the name of the blue, the eye candy. Oh no, it's Magic Resin blue. An easy word for me, blue. Okay, let's get this poured in here. And when I did this, I dislike when that happens. I wish resin wouldn't run away on itself like it does. Granted, it may not matter because I am doing a blue, but I am going to do my bestest to clean up where that just went off on its own. I have made up about 40 mil of the blue, and I got to be careful. That's one thing you're going to want to watch if you have this mold and you haven't used it yet, is just pour slowly for one. And the other thing is just to kind of keep yourself moving along so it doesn't accidentally go up over that lip. And, you know, if you don't care, fair enough. I'm just mentioning that to you as a tip. So I'll have to get out one of my, I want to clean that up because I can't guarantee that I'm going to get the exact same color of blue when I finish this up. So I want to clean up where it sort of goes square. I don't know why it does that. If anyone knows, I always like saying to people, if you know something I don't know, please tell me. Because stuff like that, it's just like, can you stop flying around like crazy people? And it may not matter. Like I thought, well, maybe I don't need to clean this up. But at the same time, if my blues, you know, are off enough, then you're going to notice that in the frame. And I don't want it to be off. So these, that's where these micro brushes come in really handy for stuff like that, to clean up along edges and what have you. So I'm just going to take a quick look at this because I don't, like I said, I don't want to over pour this. And I probably have, yeah, I have close to 20 mils left. So I'm going to have to make note that I only need about 20 mil for this. As you know, with me, I just like to make sure I, you know, throw a little bit extra in so that I don't have to think about it, right? I've got a little bit of line. Now that's not going to matter, is it? Because we're going to be covering that up anyway, so I'm not going to care about that. All right, so what we will do is we will get out our lid. I'll cover this back up. So yeah, that took about 20 mil of resin. Let's see, I did about 40. Let's say it took, I put about 25 in there. So I've got about 15 mil left. So I'm just thinking for a moment. Do I need, I don't think I want to put any more in there. I think we'll leave it at that. Let's grab the lid. We'll put it on for 2 hours. I will come back and check it. I'll let it run for 2 hours, but I will probably check it in about an hour to see how it's doing. As my arms go through and over and around and whatnot, right? All right, let's plug that in. Okay. And I'll figure out what I'm going to do with my leftover resin. I've got another one of my tea lights going over here, so I may just put it in there or go find something else that I might be able to put it into, which right now I haven't got a clue where I want or what I want to put in here. Okay, so forgetting about that, that I will figure out on my own. All right, so put it 2 hours flat and temperature 140. Okay. I will check back to you when it is time to carry on. Welcome back. It always feels like I'm getting so much stuff organized as I get ready to prepare my next step. We're moving on now with the clear resin that we're going to put in here. And then we will let the machine do some curing on that as well. So I didn't get back to this when I had planned on, but I let it do its 2-hour thing. And what we're going to do now is we're very carefully going to pour in the clear resin into this section here. We're going to put some resin on our photo, the piece that's going in there, so that it's not just, I always like to cover my pieces with resin before I put them in. That way I feel I've got a better chance of not having air pockets and whatnot. Now, I'm willing to accept if I end up with that, just because that's not completely flat, but let's keep our fingers crossed that this works out the way I want to and there's no gaping huge air pocket. I'm going to slowly pour this in because initially I don't think I want to go over top of like into the blue with this, so I just want to get a really good layer of clear resin in here. A part of me had thought about putting a little bit of glitter in it just to have sort of a reflection of snow. And then I decided don't do that because that picture was taken in the wintertime. And I just thought to myself, don't do that just because I don't know where it's going to land. Anyway, so we didn't do that. We've just kept it clear. I won't say it's completely bubble free. I haven't used my debubbler for a while. And this is one of those moments when it actually would make total sense for me to use it. But alas, I have not. So we'll hope for the best. And I had thought of spraying some alcohol down on this, but I didn't know if that might cause me some issues as well, so I have not done that either. And I figure if I do it slow enough that hopefully we won't have any issues. I might let it, and I don't know if I've got bubbles down there or if it's something else. All right, now I can see a bubble down there. That's definitely a bubble. So I do have an odd bubble or two in there, and the one I can see really easily. So I want it gone. So that's something, I mean, it would have probably been a good idea if I'd put this in the bubble remover. Might have been a good idea. I think I've got a piece of blue something or other in that. Just go around and get rid of any surface level bubbles. Some things are really challenging to say. Okay, I feel like I've got a piece of blue in there. Maybe it is just an air bubble. And then it's really hard to see because of the mat that's underneath it. Am I seeing something that's on the mat? Yeah, I don't think that's an air bubble. Wish I had my other glasses in here. There, whatever it is, I got it out. All right, so let's get some resin on here. And then we'll hopefully... This is one of these things where now we're going to get messy. All right. I didn't do a very good job cutting My blades on my cutter weren't very good. Try not to make too much of a mess here. I'm not guaranteeing anything on this. So why don't we take one of these, kind of just go over it. I don't want to make too much of a mess, but I definitely want to do a good job covering this. And holding it over top of this, so anything that flies off of it, as it were, oops, ends up, yeah, I don't have a lot of space here, do I? I really should have this over something better than what I do. So I'm not sure how much you can see of what I'm doing, but I'm just trying to coat it. Not make too much of a mess. Which I'm absolutely making. And I kind of know it too. I should have a wet wipe out, and I don't even have that. So if you have a better way of doing it, by all means, you don't have to follow what I'm doing here. If you have a better way of coating it, then by all means. My ideas aren't always my ideas aren't always the best. I'm absolutely having a challenging time speaking, aren't I? I don't want to drop this either. Now I made about 100 mils of this up, so hopefully that'll be good. I'm just going to let this really coat this. All right. I think I've got plenty on there now. And we'll just let it sort of run down and around and off of it, which is, potentially going to create some air bubbles, which I can see it doing. So I'm just going to grab my lighter. Let's see if I can get this out of the way. Yeah. Okay. I know I'm going to end up trapping bubbles in this. And I don't think it really matters how we sort of place this. I want to do this really carefully. I don't want bubbles in this. So badly don't want bubbles in this. And I don't know if I'm going to manage to hold that and not get any, or what we're going to end up with, but let's hopefully have it just sort of meld the two together, which would be brilliant. Get that off to the side, but that's all sticky. This shape like into place. You just gotta bear with me. I need to get a wet wipe for my one tool over here, so I can clean it off half decently. All right, now that there, glasses, and let's see if we can just sort of shimmy this into place. So it looks like it's half decently in place. I'm going to go around the edges now with the rest of my resin, just so I can get it like a layer of it, just a thin layer around the edges, so it's level. I don't know how other people you know, do this. I haven't really watched anyone do it aside from what the video I had seen on Amazon. So I'm not really sure what other people are doing as far as, you know, doing up the photo, placing it in. You know, I have no idea what other people are doing. So if you happen to know of someone who's done something like this, I would love to know, because I'll go check out their video. I think I'm going to have to see about pushing it into some of these places. So I need sort of like a tool like this. This is where you get into the nitty-gritty work, eh? I'm probably going to have more clear on here than I really anticipated to have. But maybe that doesn't matter at the end of the day. Maybe it doesn't matter. All right. Now, if my picture I know is moving, I can tell that it's moved. So that's okay too. We're going to get it back into place. And then we're going to put some resin on top of it. I'm trying to balance it out based on the white. And I am debating whether or not I really should put anything on top of this or not, or just let it set itself up just as it is. And then I won't be putting any more clear in it. And it seems to have held it down, like I'd said about the wow in the picture, and it seems to have held it down. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to trust. I'm not going to put any of the clear on top of this. I'm going to just trust this to hold it in place. I may have to watch it a little bit. And I'm going to have to be very careful if I go around, and I'm just trying to see if it's moving at all. And I want to get, there's some air bubbles I can see, but I'm going to have to be really careful, because I don't want to like melt my plastic. That wouldn't be good. And I can see one spot over here at the side, but I think maybe it's, I'm trying to look. I don't know whether I've got a bubble under here or what. Like I don't want to move it, but at the same time it's one of those, do you have something under there, Natalie? Is there a bubble under that? Yeah, I'm gonna end up moving it around, and I don't want to do that. So I think we're just gonna, I feel like it's moving toward me. You almost feel like if I just held it in place and just sort of let it level itself out again, but I don't want all kinds of whatchamacallit in it either. And I'm talking about dust. I still feel like I'm too close up to the top here. Or bottom. I don't even know which way I've got that in, to be honest with you. It's like I'm hoping that if I hold it in place just for a few, that it'll level itself out around it and won't keep pushing it. Or if I very gently just do it, it'll Just hold itself in place. So I think instead of putting the I'll put the Resiner's lid back on this, but I don't think I'm going to turn it on right away because I don't want it to, well, I'm thinking, do you let it start curing in place so it stops moving, or do you let it set up a little bit and then put it on? So I've kind of got, I'm not sure. That should be apparent by now. Okay, I think I'm going to let it sit now for maybe about half an hour or so. I'm going to keep checking it to make sure that we haven't, you know, it isn't back up at my end again. And then we will, the next round will be to, I got a glob of resin here, will be to mix up enough to do the blue, the rest of the blue to go around it, and to do the feet, the stand. I spilt some resin. That's all I'm trying to clean up right now. All right, we don't have to worry about that. The rest of my resin I'll do something with, and then we will come back. And like I said, I just feel like it keeps moving towards me. So maybe that's something we have to watch in the future, is how to put it in. Now, if you could. Like if I had a bigger pitcher, it may not matter. But because of what I've got, like I think the resin's just pulling it, so I may be better off just to stop playing with it, right? I'm trying to do it a little bit side to side and top to bottom to see if might kind of make a difference in that. Like I'm not moving this much, but I know it has moved back up. I might just have to deal with that. Or like you say, maybe, you know what? Maybe I do start curing it up. Okay, let's just put the lid on it and let the curing process to begin. We'll be back in a little bit. All right, before we carry on, I may have bungled up my video a little bit. I had thought things were being taped. I'm not sure they were in the section where I put the pitcher down and then poured the clear resin over it. Anyway, so it's possible that we have missed part of the video and there's nothing I can do about it. I will find out soon enough if I bungled that part. So I just wanted to let you know that in case we jump from doing the outer edge and then all of a sudden I'm doing the top coat of the blue color and you're going, so what happened to the picture? I am just mentioning that now that my video may have not gotten taped when it needed to. So we're going to just carry on with this. And I thought about starting over and I thought, but I don't know if I've missed it and I don't want to be taking my card out. So we're just carrying on as if, hopefully, fingers crossed, you got the part where I put the picture in this. And if not, I may have to do another video. But I wanted to keep this one going. I didn't want to let it go. So I'm just keep checking my, see that my video is recording and it should be. So we're carrying on. We're going to do the blue in here to cover this up now, and then I'm going to mix up the black with a little bit of blue for our feet. And I had to move this off to the side a little bit in order to measure out my resin. So let's get this poured. So I had talked about having a concern with that photo moving. I think it stayed pretty good where it was. So that's very good news that it stayed where it's supposed to stay. Next time I'm definitely going to have to do a better job of trimming it down because there's rough edges on this and that's unfortunate. It is what it is. But next time I'll do better. And I am hoping to get some 4x6 of the thermo pouches so that I can do 4x6, and I do want to work on seeing if I can cut them down. Again, I apologize if we've missed part of this video. I'm not sure, and yeah, things just went a little squirrely. Yep, that's all I can say. Every once in a while, things just don't go the way you expect them to go. So we're going to get this poured in here. It's not the same color blue. I decided to actually add a little bit more of the lighter blue. And I did that partially because of what my picture looks like. So I need to stop pouring that. I have way too much resin, which is fine. I wasn't sure how much I was going to need. So I have a little bit too much. Again, that's fine. You know how I feel about having enough resin. So we're just going to get this moving along, and then the rest of it I'll use for something else. Now, you know what we might do? So here's an idea. I've got my tea light over at the side here to put the leftover resin, but what I might do, and hopefully this won't mess things up, I think I'm going to put a little bit of black in with the leftover resin. How much have I got in here? Because I need about 50 mils. Yeah, I don't quite have 50 mils. So I don't know if I'm going to have enough for the legs, but you know what maybe we will do is mix it up anyway, and then I'll work on pouring it to, and I feel like I've got too much in here. Like I've got this end down here seems a little thick. So I think I'm going to see about taking out some of this resin and putting it back in here. I think I'm going to mix. I might have enough to do these. I just want to take a little bit. It seems like I've got a little bit too much in my frame. So this video has not sort of gone in the way I wanted it to go as far as getting things done. And I'm going to apologize for that. I have been dealing with a lot of snow here. And so my energy levels when I've gotten back inside have just been non-existent. And so we have not, I've not done a lot. Like once I've gotten back inside, as much as I wanted to, I just haven't had the energy to do much of anything. And I'm sure anyone else who's been dealing with the winters being like they are, whether you're in Canada or the United States, especially in the eastern states where I saw the snowstorm, New York and Boston and Massachusetts. Am I right on that? My geography isn't all that great. You guys got a ton. And all at once. I mean, I've been very lucky. I've been dealing with it bit by bit. But you guys, wow. Seriously got knocked with snow. And in such a, they were calling them snow bombs, I guess. And even Eastern Canada. I mean, wow. I'm very grateful for where I am. Even though it's been craziness. All right, so my black. Where's the black I have out? My blackout. We're going to put some of that. I feel like I want to cover that back up. I think that's good now. It's not as deep over there. We've got enough in there. So we're just going to cover this back up. I'm going to mix up. And hopefully it doesn't take me too long to do this. And hopefully we'll have near enough to fill those up. Yeah, so I do apologize if this video's a little off because of the fact that, yeah, just one of those videos. We'll get some of this blackout in here, and I'm going to put a fair bit in here only because it really is too blue right now. So I got to get my stick, and we'll just, I know you can't see anything right now, so bear with me as I trying to think of how best to do this. Get some of this black dye. Well, it's not black. You know what I mean. I guess it is a dye, isn't it? On my stir stick. And then see how black this makes it. Because I want the blue tinge on it for sure, but I don't want it too blue. So we'll see what this black does. And see if we can make it darker. Because I really don't want the stand being, you know, the same color. Yeah, that's definitely going to do it. And interesting, so when I was done with doing the, you know, putting the picture in my piece, I took some of the Alumilite, which we're not going to be using now in this video, to color up my clear resin. And instead of mixing it in, I just sort of swirled the cup around. I will not probably get the tea light done for this video, but I just wanted to swirl it around instead of mixing it in with a stir stick. And hopefully it'll have made a kind of interesting design in the tea light, even though it's going to take a little bit before that thing's full. But it was kind of interesting. Now this still has a blue hue to it. And for this, we're going to turn on the Resineers. I didn't do it for the picture because I didn't want, and I, again, not sure if it's in the video, but I had put my picture through twice and through the Scotch machine, and it warped it a little bit, and I didn't want to, how can I say, yeah, I didn't want the machine to warp it, so I did not turn on the machine to cure that up. It cured on its own. Yeah, I apologize for my speaking being a little off. I'm trying to focus on stirring up my resin. I maybe should have let you guys go for that, but my black's darkening up my resin, but it's not really doing it really dark. But I'm going to have to pour it soon, so we may just have to deal with what we get. So we'll get this, hopefully I can get this poured shortly. And you're probably going, yeah, it's really nice looking at your Resineers machine there, Natalie. Thanks for that. Okay, let me just put that. I'm not going to put any more black in. I think I needed to start with black and then add the blue to, and do it that way. So that's okay. I'm sure you'll forgive me. I'd like to think so anyway. So let me get, so that's what we've got so far. It may look black, but there's still definitely some blue in that. Hopefully we'll have near enough. So it's definitely a darker blue. Almost a navy blue. And I think you could have a lot of fun with the stand if you wanted to. I just personally wanted this to be dark, but you could definitely do a lot of different things with the stand. You could even do, I mean, you can get them clear too, so you could just do clear. Alright, let me just mix this up and then we'll pour it. I think that'll do. Yeah, so that's what we've got for the color. All right, so let me wipe this off and then we pour. This is almost when I wish you got to listen to music, but I'm not really sure how all the copyrights work on adding music, and I find it distracting sometimes when I'm watching videos and they've got the music going. All right, let's see what happens here. It's definitely darker, which is what I wanted. I just want to get down and in here, and we'll get it going on the other one. I'm not quite sure it needs to be super thick. See if I can do this. What I wanted to do is I kind of wanted to run from the top down into that leg, so I don't have to pour it, but let's see if I can do this relatively neat. Oops, that's what you call relatively neat, eh? We'll have to get one of those mica brushes out. So if we get some into both, then I can kind of work on making them about the same. We'll see how that works out for me. Try and be careful. So what is everyone else up to? Is everyone else ready for spring to arrive? I can honestly say I am more than ready for spring to arrive. I was talking to someone else, and actually a couple of people, and they are more than ready for spring to show its face, because we've gotten so much snow. It's been a harsh winter, and a long one too. A long winter for sure. Well, this is going to work out well for me. I was thinking I'm going to have to make up some more resin, but it doesn't look like I'm going to. So we'll just keep going back and forth. And I might not do it up as full as it's supposed to be. I'm trying to keep them about the same thickness. I don't know if that'll matter at all. We'll see. But this is going to be brilliant that it's this is working out well. A little bit more in this one. I had to change my arms. My arm is getting tired, because you're trying to be so careful with it and not spill any of it. All right, a little bit more in this one, and then I'll clean it out, and I'll put the rest into my other piece. So yeah, around 50 mils to fill these two up. So that's good to know. And I don't have to worry about the sides. I am going to clean this little piece up so it doesn't impact what's been poured in there. The rest of that I don't care about. All right. I think we're not too bad. I want a little bit more in this one. Like I said, I don't know about anyone else, but I have a bit of a difficulty knowing when I'm up high enough. Because of the way it is shaped, it sort of makes me think I'm not up high enough, where on that one, it looks like I am. So I'm just going to put the rest of this in this top piece, or the piece closest to me. And again, I like to think my table is balanced, but there are moments I do really wonder about that. So, who knows, eh? Okay. Leave it. I guess I got a few little bit more in here I can. All right. We'll leave it at that. Oh, sugar plum fairies. It needs to be set up like that, doesn't it? Okay. I'm going to move this back now. Part of me wants to spritz this really carefully. I don't like putting too much of this stuff on. All right. So we're going to cover this up. We're going to set it to 2 hours. And then we will come back and see how we made out with this whole conglomerate. And if we're all really lucky, you will have seen the middle part of this video. If not, then I'm going to have to work on doing another one for you so you can see. So I know not to do that. So I think I'm going to let this sit just for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to go over with my long neck lighter. Be very careful. So if you spritz something with alcohol, you give it a few minutes for that to evaporate before you go over it with your long neck lighter, if you're going to, okay? Because I've mistakenly, one time I spritzed it and then I didn't really think about it and I went over and I had to blow out some flames. So yes, be very careful. Let the alcohol evaporate before you go over it with a lighter. Always, 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 always. All right. So it looks like I've done okay videotaping this part. I'll see you when this is ready to take out of the mold. It has been 2 hours. We are ready to take our pieces out of the mold and see how well I have done making these pieces. And obviously, as with anything, like if you're using a curing mat, I know things have got to sit, for longer. Because as much as, yes, it's set, it still needs to harden. And that's why I wear the gloves. And I think I've mentioned that before, that I wear gloves because I don't want to get my fingerprints all over everything. So I like to wear them. Now, I do have air bubbles in that. Some more obvious than others. But yes, I always wear the gloves because I don't want to get my fingerprints on everything. And I know that this will have to set up a bit. So I'm going to, obviously, once we're sort of done with this, I'm going to let it set up even more so, like for at least 24 hours, so it has a chance to settle. I'll put it on something flat. I've got my desk over here. I'm going to put it over there because I really want stuff on a flat surface. As much as this is flat, I concern myself about, these nubs being here and whether or not they'll put marks in my resin, which they may or may not. I've got quite a few air bubbles in that. Interesting. Anyway, sorry, as I get sidetracked. It happens so easily with me. Anyway, I will be putting these on a flat surface to let them set up properly over the next 24 hours. But at least we can, do hopefully a quick test. And if I see things bending too much, then we will just have to wait, and I will bring you back in 24 hours. So let's see how well I did or did not do with my piece. Again, this is the first time I've done something like this, so I am totally okay if I, messed up a little bit. Let's maybe, I'm going to just take these very carefully and put them off to the side for a moment. I just want to flip this around. I guess it is up on the right side, but let's get rid of this. I just want to get my resin out of here. I'll just work on getting things out of the way. Over there. We'll bring this back very carefully. So it's interesting because I know it's there. My wow that's in my picture, I can make that out. Yeah, I think we're going to have to come back in 24 hours because I'm really kind of concerned that if I put this together, figuring out how that works, right? That these legs, they're pretty flimsy right now. Yes, they're secure, but this isn't light. This has got a little bit of weight to it, and I foresee if I put this, I'm just going to mess things up. So what I'll do is we will leave this for 24 hours so they have more time to set up. It's great that they're done. This is how it looks. Now I'm noticing scratches. Now, granted, I did have ceramic resin in that mold. I did wipe it down. I cleaned it up, but I'm seeing what could be perceived as my mold wasn't clean enough. So I'm wondering if I wanted, I'm not going to do it with this one, but if I had wanted to, is like very carefully sand that down a little bit and then put another coat of resin on. But I'm not going to go to that detail. I'm going to have to clean the other one out really well. I'll have to maybe use some soap and water on it. And I'm just, yeah, it obviously has some bend. But anyway, having said all that, there's my picture in there, which I think, I was a little concerned about the blue background, but I don't think we've done too bad. I'm trying to get that out. So I don't think we've done too badly on having a blue background on this. I was a little worried because I do this all the time. I put dark colors on dark colors and it just doesn't turn out. But I don't think that's too bad for a first attempt at this. Well, a second attempt, but doing it right the second time. So let's call it a first attempt. And I don't mind that, and I don't know how well you can tell, but the background is slightly lighter than, the frame part itself, if you will, like this outside part. The other thing I've got to do, and I'm going to recommend this for anyone who's working with resin and you're mixing mica powders into it, to use a small container like this to put some resin in and then mix your mica powder in it instead of doing it in the big. Most of the time I'm really good at, because I take my time breaking down the mica powder in my resin, but I am noticing some spots in this where my mica powder hadn't been broken down. I've got sort of, what do you like? I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but I've got little spots and I know it's mica powder that's gotten in there and it hasn't been broken down completely. But overall, I think we've done a nice job on this. And I like the fact that this is clear because it gives you sort of the illusion that it's actually glass in there, which is kind of cool as well. I'm going to have to clean these guys out a little bit better. I'm going to potentially do another one. I want to get the 4x6, but the 3x5 actually fits in there really well. So not a total mess up for sure. It turned out better. The only mess up's going to be is if you don't get part of the video where I actually poured the clear and put the picture in. Come back 24 hours from now when these feet stand have time to harden up a little bit more, and then we'll see how it looks all together. As we come to the end of this video, my fingers are crossed that I didn't lose part of it. But if I did, then I'm just going to have to do another video and use the other frame as an example. This is set up better now than it was when we initially took it out of the mold. I want to put it together and I want to see how it looks. So just work on getting this together as it's meant it to be. Now there's quite a bit of space in between these two pieces, so this will go back and forth quite a bit. I don't know if that was the intention of the mold when they made it. I'm not really sure. But let's just see how well this sits. As I get a little, is it going to stay standing or is it not? So there we have it. It's not a good view for you, is it? Bring it forward a bit more. All right. So I'm going to open that up a bit more. I don't know if it matters. Get the actual mold out of the way, but there is our piece. I figure with the stand, the feet, that it will, in 7 days it'll be even that much more set, if you will. I know the resin cures up in 24 hours, but I'm just thinking from a hardening perspective, I have found with pieces, like the more time it sits, the harder the resin seems to get. And I don't know if there's sort of end point on that or not, but that's okay whether there is or there is not. Now, one of the things I was curious about, and I'm looking at my frame here, is sort of the ratio of the clear to the blue at the back. So I think what's happened is when I poured my clear, as much as I tried to keep it sort of in the central part, I did go over with the clear onto sort of the outer edge of the mold. And I'm almost thinking, if I did this again, that I would make enough clear to one, and I'm almost thinking I shouldn't have put so much in. So next time I may not put as much resin in here initially, get my pitcher set in place, and then maybe work on covering it. I'm going to have to play with that to find out sort of where the happy medium is on it, because my blue will be fine. Like my initial blue around the outside obviously will be the right thickness for what it needs to be, but the clear and then the blue behind that, I can see a distinct difference because of where my clear went and then the blue that covered it up. That may not matter to some people. I would like to have it more symmetrical, so I'm going to have to work on that and, as I say, find the happy medium. But overall, I think that it turned out okay. I was a little concerned about my blue. I didn't know if maybe blue was the wrong color. And I feel that's why I put the lighter blue in with it, because I wanted it to sort of tone down. Because you really want the focus to be on the picture itself, not on, well, not technically on the frame. But again, that all depends on what you're looking to do. I'm pleased with it. I'll do the other one. I still haven't gotten, when I made my order into Amazon, I don't know if I mentioned this, they didn't have the 4x6. I need to get 4x6, and I'm just going to go to Staples here in Canada and pick those up instead of ordering it off of Amazon. As I mentioned when we took this out, I have a couple of spots, so I am going to work on mixing my mica powder in a small amount of resin so I can get it mixed up really well, so when it goes into the, overall cup of resin, I do better at avoiding some of these spots where the mica powder hasn't been completely dissolved. But it's not bad. For my first kick at the can with this one, I think we've done a pretty good job on this. I'd like to know your comments below. I am going to let, especially these legs, I'm going to let them set up a little bit more. I think in the future, I will have to start using my debubbler again so I can avoid, because on this piece here, I got a lot of air bubbles, which doesn't throw me. And I could go over it with a coat of UV resin if I wanted to. Not sure I want to do that. I need to be more careful with that in the future. Also making sure that my molds are really well cleaned out after I've used ceramic resin, which I think is, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's part of the reason that my picture here and the clear part is a little cloudy, has some marking on it. I will have to get better at cleaning things up. Anyway, it was an interesting piece to do. I'm glad I've done it, and I look forward to potentially doing the other piece in a future video with you. Anyway, thank you for coming along. I hope you're all being creative. I hope that you are looking forward to spring as much as I am. Hopefully, we haven't lost part of this video, but if I have, I will just have to deal with that. Thank you for coming along for the ride. Have a great day. Take care, and bye for now.